Alright, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into what I like to call the ultimate communication dilemma. We process tens of thousands of messages every single day, but the way a single sentence is packaged can literally change our brain chemistry. Because sometimes you just need to get people to understand something, but other times, you need to get them to act. So let's jump right in and look at exactly how we engineer these two very, very different outcomes. Just listen to the weight of these words from Matthias M. for a second. You got a dream, you got to protect it. People can't do something themselves, they want to tell you you can't do it. When you hear that, you feel an immediate, urgent pull, right? The stakes feel incredibly high, deeply personal, and honestly, inherently cinematic. It's completely designed to spark a fire in your chest right here, right now. And then, we have this React tutorial by Jan Goebel. This is the section here at the top. Here we see a list of all trending videos along with the description. Talk about immediate whiplash. We just went from defending our lifelong dreams against the whole world to calmly pointing out a wed menu. It's dry, it's objective, and let's be real, it's a little robotic in contrast. So that brings us to the core question we are answering in our case study analysis today. What actually separates the spark of inspiration from the blueprint of instruction? Like, how do creators use language, tone, and structure to either build a thermonuclear engine of motivation inside you or just hand you a perfectly logical set of directions? Let's break this down. Section 1. Feeling versus knowing. Purpose, action, or context. These two styles basically split our brain's processing right down the middle. Motivational content has one primary goal, and that is to fundamentally change your internal state of resolve. It's meant to trigger urgency, hope, and confidence, so you can turn your thoughts into actual action. But a description? That just provides information. It gives you the who, what, and where without ever really bothering to explain the why. If you really want to understand the goal of motivational content, look at this quote from Dr. Ivan Joseph talking about self-confidence. I am the captain of my ship and the master of my fate. Now, this isn't just a fact, it's a self-affirmation. Motivational communication demands that you internalize the message. It raises the emotional stakes so high that you literally feel compelled to take courageous action. And there is hard neuroscience backing this up. As highlighted by Healthy Gamer GG, discipline is actually an emotion, it's not just a habit. We so often think of discipline as this robotic routine, but cultivating it actually requires a super deep emotional drive. That is exactly why motivational content aims to make you fiercely feel something. It's trying to build that emotional engine of willpower required to sustain lasting discipline. Moving right along to section 2, tone. Cinematic or educational. The absolute crucial difference here is the vibe. A motivational tone is cinematic. It speaks directly to your soul, completely avoiding boring advice or sounding like a teacher reading from a textbook. But look at the description tone. It is unapologetically teacher-like. It's straightforward, objective, and instructional. It doesn't want you to cry, it just wants you to click the right button. And this right here brilliantly illustrates that educational tone in action. This is from productivity expert Jeff Su breaking down how to write an AI prompt. He says, I'm a 70-kilo male, give me a 3-month training program. The first part is context followed by the task. See? He's logically dissecting the sentence structure. No goosebumps required, no dramatic orchestral music swelling in the background, just pure functional understanding. Which brings us to section 3, structure, the journey and the blueprint. We can actually map out what we call the journey of motivational content. It's a very predictable emotional arc. At minute 0, you get this incredibly powerful hook. Then it dips right into the pain, highlighting failure and struggle. But by minute 5, you hit the turning point, this massive shift in mindset. And it all culminates in an unstoppable resolve. It weaves those action steps naturally right into a compelling narrative story. Just look at how perfectly this quote from the YouTube channel Pursuit of Wonder maps onto that exact arc. In this frame, you will live on this rock, then you will die. Find freedom and inspiration in this thought. It's brilliant. They use the existential pain of cosmic insignificance, our tiny little place in the universe, to trigger a massive turning point of freedom. It takes you on a journey from sheer dread to absolute wonder. Okay, but let's shift gears back to the objective world. A description replaces that entire emotional arc with a functional blueprint. This is Jeff Su's exact prompt formula, right here. Context, task, exemplars, persona, format, tone. There is no rising action here. There's no dramatic climax. It is literally just a checklist designed to constrain possibilities and yield a specific, highly predictable result. Even within that blueprint, things are broken down super logically. To build the context block of a description, you simply ask, what is the user's background? What does success look like? What environment are they in? This right here is the functional core of a description. It answers the necessary questions to guide a task, rather than, sparking the emotional fire to begin it. All right, wrapping things up with the final takeaway. Why this matters to you. Look, being a master communicator really just means knowing exactly which tool to pull out of your toolbox at the right time. This matrix summarizes everything we've talked about. Just look at the stark contrast in the key message at the bottom. Motivation demands that you sacrifice who you are for who you will become. Meanwhile, a description simply states, this is what the application can do. One relies heavily on feeling and cinematic stakes, the other relies on pure understanding and fact-based instruction. As the psychologist Angela Duckworth famously defines it, grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. If you want your audience, your team, or honestly even yourself to have the grit to succeed, you have to deliver the right message structure. Sometimes people really do need the emotional fuel to keep persevering, and sometimes they just need the clear instructions to take the very next step. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to reflect on the next time you write an email, give a presentation, or even just try to inspire a friend. Are you trying to build a thermonuclear engine of action, or are you just giving directions? Because knowing the difference changes absolutely everything. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.